All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the biggest what-ifs in the history of business. It's a legendary cautionary tale, right? It's all about being on top of the world and just completely missing the revolution that's happening right under your nose.
Let's just start with this number, $1.8 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. That's not a company's value. No, that's the price tag on a missed opportunity. It's literally the cost of a single decision, a simple word, no, that ended up changing everything.
And here's the kicker. What's absolutely wild is that this wasn't a one-time mistake. It wasn't just one bad day, one bad meeting. Nope. This was a massive, catastrophic failure of vision, and it happened twice.
So that brings us to the big question, right? The one we're really going to dig into here. How on earth did the absolute king of the internet, the one company that was the internet for so many people, how did they miss their own future? Well, to figure that out, we've got to jump in the time machine.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're talking late 90s. This is before Facebook, before the iPhone, before any of that. In that world, there was one name that ruled them all. Yahoo. And I mean, it wasn't just big. It was everything. See, Yahoo really created this idea of the web portal. Now, this wasn't just a search engine, okay? The whole idea, their entire goal, was to be your homepage, to be the front door to the whole internet. You'd log on and boom, everything was right there. Your news, your email, stock prices, and this huge directory of websites that real people had actually picked out. And you can't overstate how powerful they were. I mean, for millions and millions of people, going on the internet literally meant typing yahoo.com into the browser. Their business model? Super simple and honestly kind of brilliant. Just keep people inside your digital world for as long as you can and show them a bunch of ads. But, while Yahoo was busy building this massive fortress, something else, something completely different, was starting to grow right outside their walls.
And that something else came from a couple of students over at Stanford. They had this totally different idea, a completely new philosophy about how people should find stuff online. And yeah, you guessed it, their little company was called Google.
So you have these two companies with just polar opposite ways of thinking. Yahoo's whole game was to be a destination. Keep you there, right? Google, they wanted to be a tool, get you your answer as fast as humanly possible so you could leave. It's a huge difference. Yahoo had real people building out its directory of sites. Google had an algorithm. And you could see it just by looking at their homepages. Yahoo was like this busy, bustling city full of things to do. Google was just an empty white room with a search bar in it. It was a true clash of philosophies, even if one of them didn't quite realize they were in a fight just yet.
And this clash of ideas, well, it leads us right to the first major turning point in our story. This is the first time fate came knocking on Yahoo's door.
Okay, picture this. It's 1998. The dot-com boom is absolutely raging. Yahoo is the undisputed champ, sitting on top of the world. And Google? Google's just this little scrappy startup nobody's really heard of.
So the founders of Google, these two guys, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they walk into Yahoo and they make an offer. They say, hey, you can buy our whole company, including our groundbreaking PageRank search technology, for just $1 million. $1 million. For a behemoth like Yahoo, that was nothing. That's not even pocket change, it's couch cushion money.
So why'd they turn it down? Well, from their point of view, the logic was pretty straightforward. Their whole model was about keeping people on Yahoo, not sending them away to other websites. And Google's whole reason for existing was to send people away as quickly as possible. So for the execs at Yahoo, this wasn't some amazing opportunity. It was the exact opposite of what they were trying to do. It didn't compute. They couldn't make it fit into their worldview.
And you'd think, okay, that's it, story over. That's the billion-dollar mistake. But here's where it gets even crazier. Incredibly, Yahoo got a second chance. A much, much more expensive second chance.
Let's jump forward just 4 years to 2002. Now, a lot has changed. The dot-com bubble has burst, a lot of companies are gone, but Google, they're not just surviving, they are absolutely thriving. People are starting to say, just Google it. It's becoming a verb. The ground is shifting under everyone's feet, and yeah, Yahoo is definitely starting to feel the heat.
So this time, the price wasn't $1 million. It was $3 billion. Yahoo CEO at the time, a guy named Terry Semel, actually goes to Google to talk about buying them. I mean, just stop and think about that jump for a second. From $1 million to $3 billion in only 4 years. That right there should have been a giant flashing red light, a huge signal that something fundamental had changed. And what did Yahoo do? Well, they haggled, and then they walked away. They said no, again. But this time, the reason was a little different. It wasn't really about their business model anymore. This time it was about pride. It was arrogance. The leadership at Yahoo was totally convinced that, hey, we can just build our own search engine, and it'll be even better. We'll beat these startup guys at their own game. They just completely and totally underestimated who they were up against.
What happened next, after those two fateful no's, is really a tale of two completely different paths. One company rocketed to heights nobody could have even imagined, while the other, well, the other began a long, painful, slow slide into irrelevance.
And the numbers really do tell the whole story, don't they? Yahoo, the original giant of the internet, eventually got sold off to Verizon for about $4.5 billion. Meanwhile, Google, or Alphabet as its parent company is called now, is worth over $1.8 trillion. Just look at that gap, that massive, almost unbelievable difference. That's the real cost. That's the price of saying no twice.
So what are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, there are a few big lessons here, for sure. First, your success yesterday means absolutely nothing for tomorrow. It's also a huge reminder that you have to be willing to embrace the future, even if it's not something you built. And maybe the biggest lesson of all? Hubris. That feeling that you're invincible, that you're too big to fail. That is the #1 killer of innovation. Period.
And all of that leaves us with one last really interesting question to chew on. You know that old saying, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes? Well, if you look around at the huge, dominant companies today, which one do you think is making its own Yahoo mistake right now? Which giant is so focused on this current success that it's about to miss the next Google? What do you think is the trillion-dollar no of our generation?